Glass half full, glass half empty with the Warriors at the moment right now.
Still glass half full. In fact, probably glass 3/4 full.
Okay. The 2 tests versus South Africa this year are as important for our reputation, standing, rebuilding and confidence as any 2 we've ever played. So why would you not exercise the option and add Mo'unga to the squad just to see? Lachlan's whispering in the air. He's going, Ben Hunt's coming back.
Good for them. Good for them.
Warriors
At the end of the day, it doesn't change the way my glass looks.
Welcome to the DSPN.
Team New Zealand's in trouble.
He's done it again, Ricky Hogan.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the show, people. Martin Devlin, Lachlan War, the DSPN on Rover, or wherever you find your favourite podcast. That's the full audio version of the show we put out every afternoon, or here on the DSPN channel where we chop it up into more bite-sized bits for you to watch at your viewing leisure. Tony Johnson joining us today as we look back at the naming of the All Blacks yesterday. 5 newbies in the squad. It's always such a fantastic day in New Zealand sport. I think the naming of the first All Blacks squad of the season, and life-changing for those young men. Hear their name mentioned, how proud they, their families must be. As well as that, NRL, we've done none of that this week. So Brent Tate joining us, the former Warrior, former Bronco, former Queenslander. Just touching on the Warriors' loss to the Panthers. Anything really to worry about, or just more a case of getting back on the horse versus the Broncos this weekend? Matt Gunn also on the NRL. We'll have a little round of glass half full, going through some names, some teams, some scenarios, some situations. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button for us. It really does help. We're almost 7,500 subscribers now. Thank you very much. Trying to get to 8,000 quick as possible, 10,000 by Christmas, and heading towards 1.5 million views after about 7 months of this podcast. So again, we're really wrapped with that. If you like what you're listening to or what you're looking at, then let somebody else know. Tell them about it. We put out a program every afternoon, and we begin the show the same way every day.
Marty Sermons, brought to you by WebWonks. Generate online leads with WebWonks. Doctors for your Google data.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
The All Black squad's been named. Congratulations to everyone who was named. Commiserations to those who missed out, and a special big time congrats to the 5 newbies. In my mind, though, there's one glaring omission from the squad, and that name is Richie Mo'unga. I know we've talked about this already. I think it deserves to be talked about again. The former Crusaders and All Blacks first 5, now playing his rugby up in Japan, is available for selection. Yes, he's got that hand injury at the moment, which is why he won't play in the Anzac team versus the Lions, but that is healing, and he did play the final in Japan with that injury. There's been much debate about this topic already, and I still don't understand what the problem is. No, he's not contracted to New Zealand Rugby. Yes, this would create a precedent. So the All Blacks aren't the best team in world rugby. We all know this. We have not been the best team for a number of years now. We want to get back to that position, and we need to get back there. For me, this is simply about putting the best team out on the paddock and giving Scott Robertson everyone and everything he needs. Now, do remember that Razor for a long time publicly maintained he did want Mo'unga back in the squad. He implored the fishheads to reconsider the eligibility rules. Then, in a sudden about-face at the start of the year, he retracted all that and said he now supports NZR's position on not selecting players who aren't signed to the national administration. Forget all that. It doesn't matter. Forget the rules and the egos and whoever might get upset about whatever they might have once said. This, again, is only about picking who is best from who is available. The only relevant question around Mo'unga for me is, has he been playing well enough in Japan to still be an All Black? According to his coach, former All Black captain Todd Blackadder, on this podcast last week, the answer to that is yes. And the best part of hearing him say that was the explanation he gave. Todd said Mo'unga has improved as a player since being up in Japan. Get that, he's improved. He's even better now. A better player than he was when we last saw him, which was the 2023 Rugby World Cup final. Blackadder says that's because of who the guy is. Thoroughly professional, always trying to improve, always developing his game. Isn't that exactly what you wanted to hear? If you were Razor, isn't that what you would want to hear about any potential past All Black? He's left, he's come back, he's better than he once was. He's keen. What more evidence or convincing do you need to add him to the squad? No, it doesn't mean he starts versus France. Maybe the hand injury prevents that anyway. But why wouldn't you at least want to see him in training with the others and try him out? At the moment, our two best number 10s are Barrett and McKenzie. Neither player has been overly convincing since taking over from Mo'unga. Neither player is owning that jersey. Both looked wobbly at times last year. Both also looked more than okay at times last year. But neither looked like a world beater in the position. And it's only the most crucial in our team, the conductor, the playmaker, the goal kicker, the game closer. Last year, the All Blacks lost 4 times. Since the semi-final loss to England in 2019, we've lost 16 games and drawn 2. In All Black language, that's 18 fails in 5 seasons. We are in the middle of our worst ever run, results-wise, in All Black history. Think about that. The most fails over a 5-year period ever. The 2 tests versus South Africa this year are as important for our reputation, standing, rebuilding and confidence as any 2 we've ever played. So why would you not exercise the option and add Mo'unga to the squad just to see? Just to see. There is no other first 5 in this country outside Barrett and McKenzie, internationally proven and as good as Mo'unga. He might just be better right now than both of those 2 blokes as well. Let's find out. Leave us a comment about this. Rank your top 3 in order for me. I go Mo'unga, Barrett, McKenzie in that order. If he's up to standard, Mo'unga should be in the squad. And don't tell me he can't because it's the rules. My only question is, what have we got to lose?
Devlin.
Rugby League, mate. NRL, it's BLT, which means it's Big League Tuesday. Yes, we've had the All Blacks announced. Yes, we've had the Super Rugby final, all of that. But of course, we've got to tackle what's been going on in the NRL. 16 weeks gone, around 17 or week 17 ahead of us of 27. Our good mate Matt Gunn joins us again from Twizel. It was the shortest day on the weekend, which means you probably got it a bit shorter than most. How many daylight hours have you got at the moment?
Oh, look, at the moment, it's almost pitch black by 5:25.
Yeah.
So it's all uphill from here, though, Martin, because, as they say, it's a few seconds, then it's a few minutes, and then it's hours. So let's just wait for the spring to get here. One more month, really, of cold weather for us. But as it sits at 0 right now, I'm still warm because we're still top the table.
There you go.
And there were a few shaky results over the weekend, which I really like to see.
Well, let's have a look at them. Top of the table, Dogs, as you say. Raiders, Storm, Warriors, there's your top 4 people. Broncos, Sharks, Roosters, Panthers, there's your top 8. Probably the significant result of the round. Broncos 34, Sharks 28. Broncos, of course, hosting the Warriors this weekend. We're going to play a brand new game for us. I normally play this with Lachlan.
Glass half full.
I present a scenario, situation, a team to you, and you have got about 90 seconds to tell me whether your glass half full, glass half empty. Yes! When that guy shouts at us, we move on to the next one. Kick it off with the Warriors. Lost 2 of 4. Lost to the Panthers on the weekend. The Raiders was the other loss. You glass half full, glass half empty with the Warriors at the moment right now.
Still glass half full. In fact, probably glass 3/4 full.
Okay.
It was a tough match for them over the weekend. I think they got caught a little bit off guard maybe by Penrith, who bitched and moaned about not being able to fly their players back after Origin, how tough it was going to be, how unfair it was going to be. They showed up with a bunch of young players that took the Warriors to the sword, and I wonder if they thought they had this game a little easier than it might be given what Penrith said. Nonetheless, they weren't totally out of the game. Regardless of the final score, 28-18, they could have won the game half full, a little bit over.
All right. Yes! Let's talk about those Panthers, because that was their 3rd win in a row. And I thought there were parallels with the game last year when the Warriors had an absolute injury-depleted side, took a lot of young players over there and surprised them, remember, in the Magic round. Penrith did the same. Yeah, perhaps flew a little bit under the radar. This is a team that has now clawed their way into the top 8, Matt. They're under the 500. We'll talk about that soon. 6-1-7, but they've won their last 3. You glass half full or empty on the Panthers?
Oh, I still think they're about half empty, to be honest. They had a little bit of luck with the Knights beating the Dolphins over the weekend, but I said, look, if they beat the Warriors, they'll be in or around the top 8, and that is always a little bit of a danger for any club facing the Panthers, which the Bulldogs do this week. I still don't think that they are a premiership winning team. I haven't seen that. The way they played against the Warriors was good enough to beat them, but I don't think consistently they've been good enough. But, of course, they also had a lot of players out over the weekend. Half empty still. I don't think Penrith are a threat.
Right. Yes! Lachlan's Broncos, then, given the fact they've won their last two, okay, this is a Broncos side which is 7-7. It says a lot about them because they lose, they win, they win, they lose. But they've got a little bit of consistency there with back-to-back wins, and they did have, 22 unanswered points they scored against the Sharks. That's a convincing result. Glass half full, glass half empty on the Broncos right now.
Yeah, I think the glass is, I'm going to say half full. There aren't too many teams that have been able to consistently win week in, week out.
True.
When you look at the table at the moment, it's the Dogs and the Raiders, but everyone else has been a little shakier. And so from that point of view, I think you have to say that the Broncos do have a very good squad and they are likely to be able to cause upsets. Are they premiership winners at the moment? From that point of view, I say half empty. Not consistent enough, and the coach possibly will be sacked by the end of the year because everybody hates him up there.
Okay.
Well, that's what
Lachlan's whispering in the ear. He's going, Ben Hunt's coming back.
Good for them. Good for them.
Warriors
at the end of the day, it doesn't change the way my glass looks.
Warriors to win this weekend. Glass half full, glass half empty on the top four as it stands now. Dogs, Raiders, Storm, Warriors. And I want to bring this up because even though Warriors lost, we lost that game, there's still a really healthy 6-point gap between 4th and 5th. You want to finish in that top four. Maybe Penrith are the wild card this year if they get into the top 6, we don't know. But a 6-point gap means that the Warriors can absorb a loss like that. So the top four, glass half full, glass half empty, it stays like it is.
I'm going to say half full. I think it will be very close to this. What you say is correct. The Dogs on 28, the Raiders 26, the Storm and the Warriors both on 24. The next closest team is that up and down half-empty glass of the Broncos.
There you go.
And there's no way they're going to turn over a 6-point deficit at this part of the season unless the top four absolutely fall apart.
Yeah, they've got to crap the bed big time. One of those teams has got to go on a 4 or 5 match loser. Yeah.
Statistically, on what we're looking at this year, win-loss records, they stay there. Okay. They've been good enough all year to be there. And as much as people have said it will change, that they say the Raiders have still got a couple of buys to come. There's no way they're out of the top. The Doggies are too far ahead to lose their spot at the top, but we may lose a few games on the way home. From here on in, we play every week. 11 games in a row or something without a break. But what you've got to remember for us is we are now packed with origin players who need to bring that reputation back. And a bloke like Kurt Mann, the second oldest debutant for Queensland, he's been tremendous for the Dogs this year. He played beautifully for Queensland in their win over the week. Those players coming back into our team, who I was concerned about when it happened, I think will only boost the squad.
Okay,
Max King is now a run-on origin player.
There's going to be a glass half full, glass half empty on the Bulldogs, but you've already bloody...
All right, it's half full.
You've already half full. You're overflowing with the Dogs. Glass half full, glass half empty. On the bottom of the table here, that Titan side, are they wooden spooners? Is your glass overflowing saying they are it this year? Because I keep thinking that they're it and then they wrestle their way out. The Knights get a win. You know, I think the Dolphins are on the way and then all of a sudden they crap the bed again. Are the Titans the worst team? Half full, half empty?
Well, yeah, I think they are. I mean, the Rabbits had that 1-point loss to the Storm the other night, which would have been tremendous. I couldn't have been wanting the Rabbits to win more.
Ever.
I think they're well better. They're well better than the Titans. And the way the Titans looked over the weekend against another fairly ordinary team, Parramatta looked fantastic. Parramatta looked a top 4 side against the Titans. They remain with a glass 3/4 empty and wooden spooners for sure.
Glass half full, glass half empty. Only 7 teams are above the 500. That means only 7 teams have either won as many as they've lost or are above that. So from the Roosters down, that's the Panthers all the way to the Titans, they're all under the 500. That's 10 teams out of 17. What does that tell you? Is that a good thing or a bad thing for the NRL, glass half full or glass half empty?
Oh, it's half full. It's half full, and maybe even better than half full. And the reason is the more teams that don't win consecutively, the stronger the competition is. The one thing I've noticed this year is that it's not a game that you watch that there aren't tremendous individual performances. Every team has great players, and that's why we're seeing so many results go the way that you wouldn't traditionally expect.
Yeah.
I think it's great for the game. You know, that so many teams are still competing to play finals at this point of the year. And when we say that, we're down as far as the Rabbits.
16th position
There's
on
no
14
reason the
points.
Rabbits,
Yeah.
16th, could not make a playoff, you know, with a couple of reversal games. So I think it's just fantastic for the NRL. Every competition would love theirs to be this close. Yes, there's a few at the top who started the season very, very well, and they've been able to maintain that points lead they've got. But this is a great comp. The glass is more than half full.
And give us a prediction then. We're only 2 days away. And as I said, what a way to kick off week number 17. Panthers versus Bulldogs. You got 8 playing 1. But this is a Panthers side that get all their origin players back. Statement win for them against the Warriors with an understrength for them side. But now they play the number 1 Bulldogs. They are at home. No, it's not in Penrith, which is actually an advantage for your mob. At the same time, though, there's a hell of a lot riding on this game for both teams, isn't there? Penrith win this one, and the confidence they'll get from that. They'll be sitting there going, well, we might be the first team outside the top 4 to actually go on and win it again.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what they're
You're
saying,
nervous,
but the
mate.
point
I
is
can
it is
feel
a
it.
big
You're
game.
nervous,
It
mate.
is a
You're
I mean,
nervous,
look,
mate.
you've got to try. It's a game that makes me a little bit nervous. First game of the weekend, Thursday night. I'll sit up for this one. I will be absolutely ready for it. I believe the Dogs have been too consistent this year and too strong in defence for me to look at this negatively, like we'll have to play exceptional to beat them. I think they will have to play exceptionally well to beat us, and I'm giving myself a glass 99% full that we take Thursday night's first game of this round. Absolutely.
This is the DSPN.